what you want, when you want it, where you want it. This is The Mesh.
Foot Candle Films. Film news and reviews from two guys who really like movies.
This episode is brought to you by the Foot Candle Film Society. For a schedule of upcoming screenings and membership information, visit the Society's website at www.footcandle.org.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Foot Candle Films here on the Mesh.tv podcast network. My name is Alan Jackson. With me, as always, is Chris Fry. We are with the Foot Candle Film Society and the annual Foot Candle Film Festival. Chris, how's it going today?
It's going well. We are now in the movie season where, as you established last week with putting out your calendar, which we have lived up to. The film you said last week we are going to review this week. So.
We did live up to the first week of the calendar. I've already found several modifications I've had to make to the calendar based on poor information on the internet for release dates on films. But we're not going to spend time today dealing with it, but just know that schedule is subject to change.
Okay, so, yeah. Fair enough. But I'm looking forward to getting into the season where there's just like new release after new release. There's lots of movies coming to the theater because it's always a good time. So.
It is a good time. It is a good time. This past weekend, not really the best example of like a lot of new releases and all that. The one we're going to be reviewing was kind of a small new release. Sinners was still the number one movie in the box office this past weekend, which is cool.
Yeah.
But I think we did not go see The Accountant 2.
Have you seen The Accountant 1?
I have not.
Okay.
So therefore that's the reason we did not go see part 2.
So I have seen it. I am curious that they have waited this long to make a sequel. Mm-hmm. It's kind of like Ben Affleck takes his turn as doing what his friend Matt Damon did and being like a Jason Bourne type person.
Right.
It wasn't bad, but it would just, to me, it wasn't that memorable.
Okay.
And for them to make a sequel, and it's odd because it seems like it's actually taking a little bit of maybe kind of a comedic in a way because of how he has a brother now, and I don't know. So weird. Well, but yeah.
I have no background on that franchise, so that was the new release that came out this weekend outside of The Legend of Ochi, which is the film that we're going to be reviewing. As I just said, The Legend of Ochi is the film that we'll be reviewing here on Foot Candle Films. That is a new A24 release. It is a fantasy rated PG, so kind of a little change of pace for us here. We're doing something that's got a little more kid friendliness to it. Although we can discuss that a little bit too in the review. But anyway, the review will be of The Legend of Ochi here in a moment. After we have that review of that film, we do have a lot of trailers to catch up on. We're going to see how kind of quickly we can move through them because we haven't really done a trailer in a little while, but there are some trailers for films coming out in the coming months that sound really interesting, or at least something we ought to keep our eye on. And then also, I've got a quick news item about something going on in the Star Wars universe, as I know everybody's just been
I've heard of that universe.
With bated breath, waiting for us to have another Star Wars update. Well, there has been in the world of films, and we will be discussing that update. And then I think we'll close out the show, Chris, if you are ready, with another recommendation.
Yes.
Okay, good. Chris brings recommendations of films to the table, and it's always nice when he can kind of grace us with one of those recommendations at the end of our episode. So lo and behold, we will have that here today as well. So Chris, we have quite a bit to do. Are you ready to get into our review of The Legend of Ochi?
Let's travel to the island of Carpathia.
Carpathia. Yes, that was the island where this film took place. Okay, good. Yeah, let's go there and have our review of The Legend of Ochi.
On foot, boys.
Dad, are we going to see one?
Stay close by my side.
I was born on a small island in the Black Sea. People say it's a dangerous place. There are bears and wolves and something else. Something people fear is much worse.
You know what's difficult to produce an original film that isn't dependent on formally established IP and have it find an audience. You want to up the ante on that challenge? Rate it PG. You could also say, make it your first time feature. So Isaiah Saxton, director of Legend of Ochi, has done just that. The film takes place, as I mentioned, in the remote village on the island of Carpathia. A shy girl is raised to fear an elusive animal species known as Ochi. But when she discovers a wounded baby Ochi has been left behind, she escapes and goes on a quest to bring the Ochi home. So this film stars Willem Dafoe, Emily Watson, the lead actress who plays the girl who befriends the little Ochi and tries to take it home, Helena Zengel, who I thought maybe looked familiar and I couldn't remember where. She was actually starred in a movie, News of the World, with Tom Hanks that I think we reviewed back in 2020, long time ago now.
Actually, I never saw that film.
Oh, you never saw it? Okay, so maybe we didn't review it. And it was a Paul Greengrass film. But anyways, this is her second time that she's come to American audiences, I think. And Alan, this film, like I said, original. Isaiah Saxon wrote the screenplay for the film as well. Totally original idea. What did you make of The Legend of Ochi?
All right. Yes, it is original in terms of somebody Isaiah sat down and wrote a script that was not pulling directly from other franchises or other stories or whatever. But, I mean, it is a fairly... Okay, let me put it this way. I like this movie. I think it's really good. We do need to just understand the fact that, I mean, it is a pretty...
It's a premise.
It's a story that has been told many, many times, many versions of it.
We saw a trailer for How to Train Your Dragon prior to the film. And that, in a sense, boy befriends toothless dragon, boy then tries to take dragon. Yeah.
I mean, you can go through E.T., you can do any alien befriending a small child movie, which has been plenty of those, or strange animals befriending children. Same idea.
Gotcha.
So from that, I'm going to give it a little bit of a ding because I do feel like at the end of the day, I'm like, I wish it had gone even a little more original with the story. Because at the end of the day, it was a pretty pedestrian, hey, here's a creature that's misunderstood and this young child is going to adopt it or become friends with it. And now they're going to try to either return it back to the family or somehow get it back home. That same idea.
Sure.
I wish it had been a little more interesting with the story. And I do feel like that there is a theme that the film I know was obviously very intent on focusing on, having to do with parenting, especially the mother-daughter relationship, or what existed of it in this film. And I think it tried to build to something at the end that really made you feel that. And I don't feel like it quite hit it.
Okay.
But I will say it's an enjoyable film. And the fact is, even if I can have qualms with the overall premise being somewhat carbon copy of a lot of what we've seen, the elements around the film were incredibly unique and original. So I do really appreciate it for that. I mean, we have to talk about this odd Boy Scout group. I don't know what they're called. I don't know what their deal is, but this like hunter group of kids.
Sure.
I thought was fascinating. I wanted to actually learn more about how this all came about and what their deal is and why is it the young boys in this village are the ones out hunting the stuff and not like any more adults. Like, I don't know. I'm fascinated by it. There are moments of the film that had some very quirky, I don't want to use it as a verb, or adjective, but it's a very Wes Anderson-ish vibe at certain points that I thought was good too. I felt like we're original enough to the film that it held. So I loved when the film got to be original. I love when the film decided it wanted to do something unique. I just wish at the end of the day it had stuck the landing to be unique and not pretty much what I expected it was going to be the whole way through. So that's my take on Legend of Ochi. I think it's really good, especially first-time director, original content, like you said. It's great. It looks good. It really looks good. It's got an odd, interesting soundtrack to it that I think is both disarming but also interesting at the same time. So there's a lot to like with the film, but in my opinion, but I do feel like I just wish it had just pulled something together a little bit more unique at the end of the day. So anyway, Chris, I want to hear your thoughts on this. What do you think of Legend of Ochi?
So pulling back the curtain, Alan and I did actually attend the exact same screening of this film. And had I been taking notes, I would have accused you of plagiarizing my notes.
Oh, I guess our brains were just like somehow in the same space there at the theater. Yeah.
I think I will say, I think I'm a little lower on the film than you because I think I did have this, unfortunately. I did have this on my top 10 anticipated films of 2025.
Topics expectations.
There you go. So I was anticipating a little more from the film, and unfortunately, the elements that worked, the ones that you've called out, production design,
yes,
creature design, costume design, just all these things, some of the cinematography, the music, all those things were working, but something very basic was too basic and too similar to other films of this like genre, as you've mentioned. And so that really held me back because it was like with all this other original material, I'm waiting for something to be very original.
Yes.
And it just wasn't. And I became frustrated too, because in the story, the Yuri lives with her father and the mother's not there. And then at one point, maybe I misunderstood. I thought she was dead. And then it's like, no, she's not dead. She's just gone away and she abandoned her child. You're like, okay.
Well, the father, Maxim, played by Willem Dafoe, makes the comment of saying, the Ochi took her away from us, which is a kind of a vague way of explaining that. Yeah.
And then when Yuri then comes in contact with her mother, that whole was just handled very oddly.
Yeah, it was.
And granted, okay, maybe you're establishing the mother is kind of an odd character.
Yes.
Oh, okay, fair enough. The father is obviously pretty odd as well. But there's so much, I guess actually, there's so much richness there of maybe why they're being this way.
Yes, exactly.
That especially for a children's film that's a PG film, I think you kind of expect things to be explained to you. You and I say often, oh, we don't need explanation. For a lot of older adult films, like, yeah, we like things kind of left up to the imagination. But for a film that we think is targeted towards families, and it's a pretty standard story, it's pretty easy. You're like, okay, but that's just very odd, and not odd in a good way. Just kind of like, I think they kind of, maybe they had to trim the film down so it does have an easy running time or something just wasn't thought through.
And what you just explained, that missing element, that missing understanding of this family's dynamic and who these characters are, the father and the mother.
Right.
Really hurts the ending of the film because we're supposed to be feeling a certain way when certain actions happen. And I didn't feel any of that because I still didn't quite get exactly what the dynamics were of this family. And if I can't understand the relationships or I can't understand what's transpired in the relationships, then it's hard for me to have any kind of feeling about any sense of reconciliation. So it's like, you wanted that heartstring moments at the end, but you didn't lay the foundations well enough to get there. So it's like, it just felt kind of empty at the end. So yeah.
And I was confused as well because it's laid out that these creatures, and you kind of know going in, we talked about, I think we talked about the trailer on a previous episode.
We did.
Of the show.
We showed it.
You know that the girl's going to befriend this creature. So the opening starts with an action sequence, which is interesting for a children's film to kind of get people engaged.
It was a pretty intense.
It was.
But I thought it was really good too. I actually really liked it.
And you have Willem Dafoe's character, Maxim, kind of stating out, this is what they're doing. They are harming our community in this way. And he goes like child by child and says like, your dad has given up farming because they keep killing his own. And you're like, okay. And then when you get with the mother, who seems like she is more of a researcher and is trying to like understand, it's like, okay, well then you need to count. And you kind of think like the typical thing would be like, yes, they're just misunderstood. But it's just like, there's never any attempt to say, well, this is why they're doing this or they're not doing this. It's like, okay, then you either need to say, no, they're not killing all these animals and we're misunderstanding it, or no, they are and we need to find out some way to work with them or something.
Right.
Like there's no.
I mean, yeah, by the end of the film, it was kind of I don't think this spoils anything, but there's no resolution to anything. It's, yeah, like you said, it's kind of okay, so were the Ochi doing things that that were harming people or not? I don't know. I don't know if it was misunderstanding. I don't know. And again, that really hurts the conclusion of the film because, again, we're supposed to feel something. We're supposed to believe that maybe there's now a change or there's some sort of understanding of this dynamic, and I didn't get any of it because none of the foundation was laid for it.
And there's frustration with me too. That there again, that's what's holding me back, because you have the father who is just outright they're bad. You have the mother who's like trying to understand them, and you think the key point could have been the daughter. She has a breakthrough where she's actually able to communicate through their language. And you say, okay, maybe the end result is she understands the language and she is the bridge that can help these two, species, mankind and Ochi, like come. And nope, like it's just kind of like, no, that's not going to happen. That's not, and it's just really odd. I admire that the ideas behind it, but somehow just the execution didn't quite.
I think
come together.
I think the way you just said is perfect. You're right. The ideas are great. It's an amazing looking film, and I enjoyed watching it from a visual standpoint and from all the production of the film. But it just, yeah.
And you threw out Wes Anderson as somebody who kind of, which I can see that because like the assemblage of boys was very similar to like the Boy Scouts in Moonrise Kingdom. Or, the use of color and also the use of a fictional place. Yeah. They do that here with Carpathia. Also, it's interesting to me too, which I don't know I would consider a Wes Anderson, but I'll throw this in there. Wes Anderson, I think it's kind of like a mashup between Wes Anderson and Tim Burton.
It has a little Burton-ish, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Because it's like they start off and you feel like, okay, this is going to be a fairy tale, fable type thing, which it is, but told like long ago or something. And then as it continues, you're like, nope, because they start off and you see like all these structures and houses. You're like, okay, this is like a farming community back in the
which I thought was actually kind of funny, yeah.
And then slowly you start to see like motorcycles.
No, it's like
a
one
gas
shot,
station.
a car just like starts pulling through. I'm like, oh, okay, well,
and
this
then
is no modern
there's some
day.
narration done by Yuri about how things like changing. Some people find odd. And like that just really sets up a really interesting, maybe confusing, but in a good way, dynamic. And then it just kind of falls away, which I thought was, and even Defoe's character Maxim, how he like clads himself in like armor or whatever, looking like a knight or something, just very Don Quixote-esque. There's so much potential here. And I think I'm curious to see what Saxon does after this.
Sure. Yeah, you're right. Everything, all the elements were engaging and interesting to me. It's just, at the end of the day, it still matters. Did the story deliver what we needed to make this film work? And it didn't. But I enjoyed watching the film. I probably am giving it higher marks because I did just have an enjoyable time watching the film.
Okay.
And again, enough of the elements kept me at least engaged. Again, I love this odd Boy Scout troop hunting Ochi. I love the fact that we don't really get to know any of them, and we'd have there's no backstory on like how they got there or what they're doing there or why. That had I keep using Wes Anderson, but I hate labeling it that way, but Wes Anderson kind of has dominion over this type of approach in filmmaking nowadays.
Right.
And it very much was like that with that. I think the fact that Yuri, played by Helena Zengel, is a very odd lead character girl. Yeah. She's seemed like a real person more than a lot of times you get the child befriending these creatures or whatever. Is sometimes these children are kind of depicted as almost like superhuman, like amazing qualities about them. And no, she's kind of a quirky,
normal girl.
weird little girl. And it's cool because it's like, the way she reacted to the creature and the way she acted around her family. It's like, yeah, okay, I get it. She's a little hothead. She throws some tantrum. She's a little gross. She's a little weird, it's like, and it was cool. It's like that I liked about that character. So enough of those elements were working. It's just,
okay. And I would like to, I agree. And I think the movie would have worked better for me if they would have leaned harder into that.
Yeah.
Because some of that stuff, and I'd forgotten about it just because my overall crankiness, it didn't hold together as much for me. But you're right. You're recalling to my mind how there's a scene where like she basically picks her nose, which is funny.
Right.
And there's another scene I'd forgotten, which you're bringing to mind again, which was a favorite scene of mine where when she is running away from her dad, the note she leaves him basically it's like saying, you're stupid. But just the way it's written, it's like, that is the way a kid would write a note and like leave it behind. And like the dad's just like, oh man, like, just like, those notes, it's like I needed more of that or something. Yeah. It's just, those were well done. I just wish.
Yeah, if you want to do that, let's lean into it and let's let that carry the tone of the whole film. Yeah, the film did have some interesting tone switches at time where it's like, okay, one scene, like for example, I'm thinking there was a whole scene that happened in a grocery store.
Yes,
and it was a bizarre scene. Yeah. The way it was shot and the way it was paced and edited. And I didn't mind it, but it's like it felt very out of place with everything else I'd seen. And then the opening action sequence of hunting the Ochi was really good, but also a very different style and tone to like what we saw afterwards. Even the scene that, is going to be the one that if the families are going to like glom onto a scene, it's Yuri kind of having her first kind of bonding with the Ochi in her bedroom.
Sure.
And that whole sequence, which was really nice, and it was a well done scene, but it also didn't feel like any other sequence out of the rest of the film. So it's like it did have a little bit of a let's just throw a lot of different ideas on the table. Some will stick in some scenes, some will stick in another. And at the end of the day, as long as we have a nice heartfelt conclusion, it's going to work. And it just didn't really from that standpoint. So yeah,
I think something else that struck me, which a little surprising, but I understand it's the game of making a movie and trying to target different audiences. And, there was actually, it's a PG movie. And I think it could have easily been G, except there's a lot of gun use.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's like pointed right at, main characters and stuff. You're like, whoa, so it gets a little violent. And then the one that was kind of disappointing to me was at one point from out of nowhere, one of the boys of the group, like, says a profanity, and and it was like close up on him, and he said, and you're like, okay, I guess that's them wanting to make sure they get a PG rating instead of a G. So that was a little disappointing on my part because it just didn't fit with like the overall tone of the movie. But
we do have to say, I mean, I think the acting is all pretty good.
Sure.
Finn Wolfhard, I don't know if you mentioned in the setup that he is in this film.
Didn't.
He plays the son of the family, the brother to Yuri.
Now,
a very small part.
Okay. Hold on.
Yeah.
Is he the son because he was left behind by his parents and then adopted?
Oh, maybe adopted.
And see,
son.
there again, that's like,
I don't know.
Okay, do what? Like, they kind of drop that in.
Yeah.
That he's an adopted son, and then they never, but then he like kind of rebels. Like, yeah, it's just stuff that's like,
it's not clear what the family dynamic
is. Or don't investigate it. Because okay.
But he got to play, he was playing a very understated, very slight role, which is not as something I'm as used to seeing from him.
True.
He was good. I mean, there wasn't a lot to his part, but I thought he was good for what he did.
Right.
Emily Watson, Willem Dafoe, I think were really good. I already mentioned Helena Zengel. But can we at least just get out a shout out to the Ochi itself? I mean, the creatures.
Absolutely.
I love a good puppeteer puppeted creature, real practical animal or creature that's on screen. And I thought these Ochi were really cool. So I did like the work that they did on these creatures. I did read after the fact that, yes, they are the motions, like you were saying, Chris, after the film last night, the motions are actually by people inside suits.
Got you.
The faces and some of the expressionists and some work is done by CGI, but it's a nice blend and it does make use of actual practical creatures. And I thought they were really good. I enjoyed them. I thought they had a nice design to them. I thought the little child was very expressive. I thought it was fun to watch what you were drawn to that creature, which I think was kind of the point. So it was fun.
Yeah, I think we would, if it hadn't have been for the use of puppetry and kind of not the over reliance on CGI, I think this movie would have just kind of fallen by the wayside for me. But the fact that they bothered to try to make it more practical, that did draw me in. Mm-hmm. So I do appreciate that fact, because obviously these days, if you can take a shortcut, it's easier to take the shortcut. Just have the Ochi just be 100% CGI.
Yeah.
But they didn't. So I appreciate that touch.
So overall, I mean, I think it's a fine movie to watch. I just wish it had more to do and more to say or more to act upon than what it was giving us. It felt like it was more of a nice collection of really pretty, interesting scenes and actions and characters without a real underlying foundation to kind of make it a worthwhile story at the end of the day. So.
And I can see this could be a film that kids may somehow see. I don't know if their parents would know enough to take them to see it, but they may see it sometime streaming or something. And it would be like their favorite. It could be like a favorite cult film of theirs from their childhood.
It very well could be. Look, I got to think about it. From a kid, if I've never seen E.T.
Right.
Or never seen, name any other movie that kind of falls in that genre. If I hadn't seen those or grew up on those and I watched this as a young child, I'd probably love it, because, I mean, the creatures are really cute and fun. But there's enough going on to keep a kid's interest. I mean, I don't think the film is ever boring. I could see this could have a life, later on. It's just, I think, unfortunately, for those of us that grew up on films like this or are aware of other films, it just didn't do anything to really stand out or really set itself apart, other than trying to be odd and quirky at times, which I appreciated, but like you said, Chris, I think you said it really well. Either lean into it and just make that the kind of film you're making, or don't. And if you're not, then if you want to make that E.T. wannabe film, then you got to do a little more homework. You got to do a little more legwork when it comes to the people and the relationships and the family, because that's what you're banking on. And it just didn't quite hold up at the end. So, yeah. All right. Well, that is The Legend of Ochi. Chris, are we adding this to your list of Chris's most anticipated films that ultimately disappointed Chris when he got around to seeing them?
Yes.
Because we had another one. What was another one that happened of that
my gosh.
category? Just
from,
recently.
From this year?
I think just this year.
Oh, my gosh. Let's see.
Well, see, Death of a Unicorn wasn't on your published list, because that was one we kind of brought to your attention.
So the films that we've reviewed thus far, The Monkey.
Oh, that was
kind of a Sinners, which absolutely lived up. It was awesome. Presents, which I also liked. I think actually, I liked Mickey 17 better than this, but that was also on the list just because Bong Joon-ho is so high. So this is so far. Okay, so that's right. So far, The Monkey and The Legend of Ochi are the two that were on your most anticipated list of the year and have not lived up to your expectations. Correct.
Okay. Yeah. Me, I did not have either of those two on my expectations, so therefore I enjoyed them both there you go. A little bit more.
Lesson learned: just don't make a list.
Don't make a list. Don't expect anything.
Sure.
No expectations. All right. Well, that is The Legend of Ochi. I would say go out and see it in a theater near you, but I don't think it's going to be around. Based on the two other single gentlemen that were in the theater last night when we were watching it.
Right.
Anyway, wait for this one to come out online. It'll be online before too long. It's a fun one to have for some younger audiences that could at least have something interesting to watch, a little different than the norm. But overall, I'm slightly positive on it. Chris is slightly negative or middle ground.
Kind of very middle on it. Okay. Yeah, sure.
There we go. All right, Chris. Well, let's, as I teased at the beginning of the show, we got some trailers to play and a recommendation to make and a quick news item to give. Let's take a quick break. When we come back, we will do all of that. You're listening to Foot Candle Films here on themesh.tv. We will be right back.
This podcast is sponsored by Jackson Creative, a custom communication agency located in downtown Hickory, North Carolina, specializing in online content creation. To learn more, visit thejacksoncreative.com. Jackson Creative, we tell your story.
Welcome back to Foot Candle Films here on the Mesh.tv podcast network. Chris and I had our review of The Legend of Ochi in the first half of the show. But Chris, let's talk about some news. I only have one bit of news before we jump into trailer.
Okay.
Our trailer tapas section. Because we used to talk about Star Wars a lot.
I mean,
back when Star Wars was putting out movies and,
right.
It was like,
sure.
And then I think there was a little bit of burnout. I think it kind of even Lucasfilms realized, hey, yeah, we kind of maybe we went a little too hard, a little too much. Let's back up a little bit. Let's slow down. They're getting a little bit of life right now from Andor being on their streaming network. So it's getting more positive buzz than Star Wars has had in a long time. So I think it may have been the time where they said, hey, we need to go and get something announced as a new film. So they do have a new film that has been announced, set for May 2027.
Okay.
So as far as I know, this is the next official Star Wars movie. There are no other Star Wars movies right now. I know there's been all these other ones talked about. Different directors signed on, but nothing is happening. This is the only one I feel like right now is like, yes, this is it.
This is going to happen.
And this is going to happen because they've already attached a star.
Okay.
And a director.
Okay.
A title.
Those both
and a date.
Well. Oh, okay.
So everything's kind of in place now.
In theory. Okay.
So we have a film titled Star Wars, Starfighter.
Okay.
Which I'm not digging the title because it just seems kind of
like Last
lazy.
Starfighter.
It just sounds lazy. It's like Star Wars, Starfighter. It's like, all right. May 2027 theatrical release. Is going to be directed by Sean Levy. Sean Levy, a lot of his work.
Yes, the name sounds really familiar.
He's done quite a number of films. I'm trying to look and see his credits.
He did those Golden Compass. He did the Golden... Was that him?
Oh, maybe. I know. I mean, it lists him in the Variety article that mentions it. It says The Atom Project, which I don't think is the one that he's the most known for, but that's more of a recent one he did. But Sean Levy did Deadpool Wolverine.
There we go.
Yeah.
Okay.
He did that. He did Free Guy.
Okay.
He did, oh gosh.
Which Ryan Reynolds was in both, obviously, Free Guy and the Deadpool Wolverine. So he has kind of a working relationship. He might have done another movie with Ryan Reynolds as well. But yeah, Sean Levy. Know who you're talking about now.
Ryan Reynolds was in...
Not Ryan Reynolds. No.
Deadpool. No, he wasn't in Deadpool Wolverine. Ryan Reynolds wasn't. Was he?
Who plays...
I mean, Ryan. Oh, I'm sorry.
Ryan Reynolds. That's Deadpool, right?
Yeah, you're right.
Whew.
I'll tell you.
I was like, wait a second.
No. I'll tell you where I got confused. That was my bad.
Like, wait.
That was my bad. I totally got confused.
I'm living in an alternate
I know
reality.
who the star of this film is. I have not said his name yet. But the first name of this actor is the same as Ryan Reynolds. So I've got myself way confused.
Okay. Got you.
Ryan Gosling is the star of Star Wars Starfighter. Okay. So that's where I got confused, me thinking, oh, has he worked with Sean Levy before? And then when you mentioned, they worked together in Deadpool Wolverine, I'm like, no, they didn't. I'm like, no. Ryan Reynolds, yes, they did.
Okay.
No, I'm sorry. Ryan Gosling, no, they have not. Anyway, okay, so back to that. Yeah, I just kind of buried the lead there. Yes, Ryan Gosling is going to be the star in Star Wars Starfighter. So... that alone right there, I think the fact that they nailed him down as the actor, we got a director, we've got a date. I'm like, all right, yeah, this film is happening. This is going to happen. Sean Levy just had a huge hit with Deadpool Wolverine. I mean, he's obviously good for the studios. He makes money for them. Ryan Gosling is still a top tier property for a lot of these projects. So it was announced at a Star Wars Celebration event in Tokyo that this would be the film coming out, the next thing that we should see from the Star Wars universe in the big screen. Chris, any immediate thoughts? I know we're not dealing with a lot here, but
I do really like Ryan Gosling. One of the few people I think that liked The Fall Guy.
No, there's a lot of people who like it.
So he can do action, he can do comedy because we saw that in Fall Guy, but also Barbie. He can play against type by doing things like Barbie. But he can also do serious, don't say much type guy like he did in Drive.
Yeah.
He's very talented.
Well-
So I'm curious what's going to be the way they take Starfighter. I wouldn't think they'd do the jokey way. I don't think they're going to do jokey.
I hope they go more Rogue One
right.
direction.
Right.
That's the direction I feel like these films have. And again, the reason I say that is I need to make a correction to something I just said earlier. I'm all about
It's not
corrections
Ryan Reynolds.
today.
It is still Ryan Gosling.
It is still Ryan Gosling.
Okay.
No, but corrections all over the board. There is actually going to be another Star Wars movie before this one.
Oh.
The Mandalorian and Grogu does come out
Oh, man.
in 2026. So next May is The Mandalorian and Grogu, directed by Jon Favreau. That one,
You see, man,
yeah.
we're not going to spend another hour
know.
tearing down. So you and I are both fans. We've talked about it on the show before. But I could not be less interested in a Star Wars movie. And I'm interested. I'm giving Starfighter. But like Mandalorian, yeah, you've already, that well's dry.
yeah.
I feel
Well,
like.
I think so too. I don't understand the jumping to a feature film for this. I think it's just a matter of like what's worked for Star Wars in the last several years. Oh, The Mandalorian worked. Let's turn it into a movie then. Let's bank on that. And I don't know if that's the right call. I know there's also a Daisy Ridley film that's been talked about that she was going to be returning in a film at some point as her character's name, Ray.
Yeah, Ray.
And I don't know where that is now, but I know it's talked about. But anyway,
I would be interested in that just to see. Like,
I think that's the direction I think they should take is take the Rey character who people like, and she had a lot of potential. I think it got kind of squandered as that trilogy she was in got moving. Let her be the foundation for
something
a new saga. It has a little bit of inklings back to the Skywalker, just a touch, just a little hair, but it can be its own thing. It's like its own character that we all like,
right?
And let her carry something forward. The Mandalorian Grogu is just kind of, to me, a cash grab on, hey, let's take something that's working and make a movie out of it. Starfighter, I hope, goes a Rogue One type direction where it's like, yeah, we know this exists in the Star Wars universe. We know there's some connections to some past storylines, but it's its own thing. It's its own story. It is like something unique. That's where I hope they go with this. So we'll see. All right. Well, that is, so the next 2 Mays, we will have Star Wars films in the theater.
One Chris is excited about and one Chris is not excited about.
Right. Yeah. So we'll have to see how that ends up. Okay.
Okay.
All right. Now let's go to some trailers, our trailer tapas section of the show. This is where we like to look at trailers, even though trailers, we understand, can set unfair expectations and typically will get us more excited for films than we should be.
I am guilty of this.
However, my commitment right now, Chris, is that I only want to watch first trailers that come out for a film.
Okay.
I do not want to watch the full expanded 3-minute trailers that come out close to release date that basically tell you everything about the film.
Sure.
So, for example, there was another trailer that came out for the Fantastic Four, which is coming out in a couple months. We're not going to talk about it. We're not going to watch it. We watched one that was kind of a teaser. I'm good with that. That's all we needed to talk about.
Same here. But unfortunately, we'll probably see it in the theater.
Yeah,
but I'm going to try to avoid it.
Can't help not seeing it, unfortunately, because we do go to movie theaters quite a bit.
Absolutely.
But we're going to try not to make it a big deal about it here. But we are still going to talk about trailers. So let's throw out a few.
We have to have something for our news segment.
I'm going to do one. I know you've got one
Yes.
to share, and then I'll come back to one at the end. Okay, this one has me really curious.
Okay.
You ended up watching the HBO show Succession.
Yes.
You liked it.
Yes.
I did too. Thought it was really good. Well, the creator of Succession, Jesse Armstrong, has a film.
Okay.
It's going to be coming out. It is a movie. It is a movie that's going to be on HBO or Max.
So no theatrical release.
No theatrical release. It is official Max movie coming out May 31st. So it's about a month from now at the time of this recording. Here's the idea. Let me see if I can get to the synopsis here really quick before we play the trailer. The trailer highlights a group of 4 wealthy men as they vacation in a mountain cabin.
So like White Lotus, except in a cabin, not a expensive resort.
As they party and enjoy themselves, the group watch as an ongoing financial crisis unfolds.
Okay.
All right?
So similar to the last season of White Lotus, that the one guy, the father, like watched
A little bit like that.
Okay.
Here's the interesting cast that we have to work with on this.
Okay.
The cast is led by Steve Carell,
Oh,
Rami Youssef,
okay.
Jason Schwartzman, and Corey Michael Smith. Corey Michael Smith, if you don't recall, he was in May December. He played the kind of odd son of Julianne Moore's character. He was also the Riddler in the Gotham TV series.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Hey, what was he in? Other than May, December, he was in something else really recently, too, that, yes, I know who you're talking about.
Yeah.
I just can't.
Anyway, it's those four.
Okay. That's an interesting
So
group.
these are the four wealthy men. They're basically like tech titans, okay?
Okay.
And I'm sure you can draw some parallels to maybe other people in real life that they're maybe trying to represent. Anyway, the film is called Mountainhead. So I want to show you the teaser for Mountainhead.
Sorry. He was in Saturday Night. He played Chevy Chase.
Oh, that's right. He played Chevy
Like
Chase.
he did
in
something
Saturday Night Live.
recently that he was like
a
really,
big,
really good
that was a
in.
big deal.
Okay.
Yeah. So here we go. Whoop. I'm sorry. I got to jump on it there. All right. We're going to watch the teaser trailer for Mountainhead coming to... See, it's so weird. They call it an HBO original, but it's going to be playing on Max. HBO is no longer a name. Why do they call it an HBO production? Anyway, here it is.
Because some people like me can't help but
Can't.
say HBO Max. I can't just say Max for some reason.
All right, here we go. This is Mountainhead.
Your first guest has arrived.
Oh, cool, great.
Oh, Jeffrey.
The roosters are crowing.
Yes, so it begins.
There he is.
Look at you, the richest guy in the world. Yeah, but have you seen what your net worth is doing?
Oh.
Yeah, your platform is racist and shitty. Oh!
Let's go to commercial. 4 presidents of tech here on Mount Techmore.
You guys getting this? Panic buying and violence?
This is a serious moment. I think that is why I am so excited about these atrocities. I'm thinking about all of the people who are not killing each other.
So that is the teaser trailer for Mountainhead, Chris.
Yeah, I'm on board, and I want to see nothing else
Yeah, I know.
about it.
That's it.
I'm glad. See, that's the thing. Me included, I'm guilty. I'm raising my hand. I'm guilty of complaining about trailers, but yet it's like pizza. I can't not eat
know.
it.
You gotta
it's
eat
not
it.
good for me. I eat too much of it, but I can't not eat it. And the thing is, without the trailer, I wouldn't know it exists because there's so much stuff out there.
Exactly.
So I've seen just enough, and I'm like, yes, I'm interested.
No, I'm the same way. That was, again, I had no idea this film existed until I'm on YouTube and it popped up as trailer. I'm like, oh, well, check this out. When Jason Schwartzman's in it, whatever. Steve Carell played. I'm like, oh, wow. Okay, yes. I did not know this existed. Thank you, trailer, for informing me. But yes, I do not need to see anything else until May 31st when the film comes out.
And from what we can tell, like, I don't think it could have been better cast.
Yeah,
I mean, it's just like, okay, like ensemble cast, I'm going to say like this deserves an award like already because yeah, it just looks.
It looks really good.
really
And the fact that it's the writer director is the one who brought us Succession. And we know kind of we know his style. We know his approach to these. We obviously know his belief system.
Yes.
That's probably going to creep into this film.
Oh,
So
I don't see how it can.
for all those reasons, I'm very excited.
Well, and it's commentary with some comedy still, which is nice instead of it just beating you down, depressing you. Like even in the trailer, like they're talking about all these serious things, but there's some comedy there. So it makes you, it's taking medicine with some sugar. So that's nice. So,
All right. Well, that is coming out May 31st on Max. It's an HBO film that's going to be on Max. I don't understand their branding situation. Whatever. Anyway, May 31st. If you got a subscription, you can get it, or just sign on for 1 month, pay the whatever it is, $10 for it.
Right.
Like you would for buying a movie ticket and then cancel it right after you watch it.
There you
That's
go.
the way to do it. All right, Chris, you had a trailer for us.
Yes.
What is the name of the trailer? I will look it up because I will have it ready to play, but can you tell me a little bit about the setup, the trailer for us?
I actually saw this trailer in the theater before Sinners. So if our listeners have seen Sinners, they may have also seen this trailer But unless you were really quicker than me, you don't even know what movie this trailer was for. It was just really odd. They flashed a website, but that was kind of it. And then later I found out, because I saw a news item come across, the new film from Zach Krieger has been announced. Here's a trailer. And I was like, oh, cool. Zach Krieger, director of Barbarian. And the trailer was for a film called Weapons. Mm-hmm. So let's now watch the trailer and come back and talk about it.
It's Weapons.
Weapons.
Like plural.
Yes.
Okay. Just want to make sure I'm searching for the right one because I hate to bring up the wrong. I'm making so many mistakes on this episode already. I'd hate that to be a mistake also. All right. Here's the teaser trailer for the film Weapons.
This is a true story that happened in my town. So this one Wednesday is like a normal day for the whole school. But today was different. Every other class had all their kids. But Mrs. Gandy's room was totally empty. And you know why? Because the night before, at 2:17 in the morning, every kid woke up, got out of bed, walked downstairs, and into the dark. And they never came back.
That was it, right?
That's it.
Okay, good.
That was absolutely it.
That's weird. I did not see it in front of Sinners.
Okay. I did, as I mentioned, and I had no idea what it was. The website is like the Maybrook Missing or something. So I was like, oh, that must be the name of the movie. No. Zach Krieger is the one who gave us Barbarian, which had a twist kind of at the end, but it was kind of genre twist, and it was a horror film.
It went in a different direction. Yeah, it had a twist about halfway through that kind of put it on a different type of horror path, which I liked Barbarian a lot. I thought it was a lot of fun.
You and I, but we both, neither one of us knew what we were getting into.
Right, which was great.
We'd seen a little bit of a trailer, but not really. And then we went and saw it and we're like, whoa. So that was nice. So this is his follow-up. The brief description that's in Letterboxd is an interrelated multi-story horror epic that revolves around the disappearance of high schoolers in a small town. So in the film, we have Josh Brolin, which I think you heard his voice in the trailer, Julia Garner, Alden Ehrenreich, which I haven't really heard much from him since Hail Caesar and Solo. So those are...
Well, Pedro Pascal's in it too.
Okay, I didn't see his name attached to it, but that's which not surprising because he's in everything.
He's in everything. It's kind of a obligatory thing now. You have to cast Pedro Pascal in your film. It's actually listed. It's weird. In the Wikipedia summary, he doesn't list him, but in all of the
stuff, he's there.
Casting and even some promo photos that come out, he's in there. So I don't know what the deal is there. That's interesting.
So I'm just really curious because the trailer, there again, this is the type of trailer I like. It was only a minute, but it gives me just enough information to say, except I didn't know what the movie was, but it makes me interested because just the visuals of these, you see just, it's dark, it's night, mood setting. You hear the voiceover and then you just see images of children, kids, young people running from houses. You don't see their faces. You just see their shadows.
The description said high school students, but none of those kids I saw on the teaser look younger.
Yeah, they did look younger.
Had a very close encounters, young child like running, like being drawn to something or running away, creepy kind of vibe to it. Yeah. No, I'm
on board.
I'm excited as well. I am too. I did not know this film existed. Barbarian gave me enough confidence in Zach Krieger that I'm like, all right, show me what you got next. I'd love it if this film was maybe an even higher minded kind of.
Well, the whole multi-story seems like it's going to be that way.
Which is nothing against Barbarian. Barbarian was great for what it was, but I don't want just another. I'd rather it not just be another horror movie. You just let's have something a little bit higher, elevated content or topic going on.
Sure.
And already the premise is mysterious. The little teaser trailer is very effective. I'm like, yeah, okay, I'm on board. When does this film come out?
I don't know. I think I don't think it's 2025. I think it's going to be, well, no. Supposedly, let's see, release date.
August 2025.
So.
All right. So coming out soon.
Yeah. Sooner than I thought, but okay.
So if Pedro Pascal is in this movie, can I just say,
he needs
once
to
again,
take a break.
Good gosh. I mean, what film was he just in recently that we talked about or shared that was coming out in May or had just come out?
Oh, I don't even know. But yeah, I remember we had a discussion about it. It was like he was just in so many movies. Oh, he's in Eddington.
Eddington, yeah. He's in the Fantastic Four. He's in the Celine Song film coming out this summer.
Yeah.
And now he's in this one, it seems like, from what I can tell. He's also in a TV show on HBO, although that might have resolved itself somewhat. Okay.
Spoiler alert.
Well, I by this point, if you haven't heard,
I haven't, but
okay. You haven't.
I haven't.
Okay.
I won't even say.
I'm not spoiling.
I won't say what show we're talking about.
Right.
But,
no. But and I'm not going to say how it resolved itself. I'm just going to say I think there may be some resolution down the path for why he may not be.
Okay.
Quite as involved in that show. Anyway, boy, I feel bad. I think I may have just spoiled something.
That's all right.
Okay. It's good, though. It's good. All right, Chris, let me round us up. I've actually got two quick ones,
okay,
if I can show. And both of them, I don't know if there's a whole lot to discuss on them. One of them is a teaser for a new film in a series or a franchise.
Okay. So far, we've done 2 non-franchise.
That's right.
Good.
We were pretty good fans of the last version of this film or this franchise. And that was for the Predator, a Predator series.
Yes.
There was one called Predator Prey, or just called Prey.
I think it was just Prey.
Yeah, just Prey. Because Predator Prey, I guess, would have sounded a little weird. Although this one, they've now adapted the Predator : and then a subtitle word.
Got you.
This one is titled Predator Badlands.
Okay.
Still directed by Trachtenberg, Dan Trachtenberg, who also did Prey. Mm-hmm. Dan Trachtenberg also did the Cloverfield film.
10 Cloverfield
10 Cloverfield Lane, which I really liked.
Yeah.
I liked Prey. So therefore, I am on board with whatever he wants to do with Badlands. The idea with Prey was let's take the Predator concept and let's actually drop it into a point in history. So it was like Native American, kind of pre-colonial times, in America. And it was interesting. It was different. It was fun. It was a Hulu movie, I believe. It didn't go to theaters. I think it just went to Hulu straight.
I think that's right.
This one is going to theaters.
Okay.
It's coming to theaters in November.
Okay.
Predator Badlands. And it sounds like it's got I don't know if it's a Western vibe or something, but it's definitely got some sort of time period involved. This is a teaser in that it is fairly short, but Chris, there are 2 or 3 kind of interesting moments in this trailer I'd like to discuss with you because you have not seen it yet.
I have not.
Okay, here we go. This is the teaser trailer for Predator Badlands, and let me get it turned up here. Okay, here we go.
I didn't think you survived.
So I'm going to make a little retraction.
Okay.
It doesn't appear like it's Old West at all. I think it's a time period. I think it's set in a time period that's maybe a time period on a unique planet, not American West or anything. I think there were some rumors early on that was the case. I don't feel like there's anything here showing that.
Right. Yeah. Maybe like a kind of like the Mos Eisley Cantina and all that stuff kind of has a Western feel to it.
Right.
It's like it's inspired.
I think it's like the west of this planet.
Right. Yes. I would agree. I think that's what they're.
So that's one point about the trailer.
It seems like they're going for. Yeah.
Second point about the trailer is my gut feel is I think the predator we see in this trailer is technically going to be our protagonist, our hero.
I think you might be right.
In other words, he's not going to be the villain that we're so used to seeing. We're actually going to follow this character. That's one. Third, and probably most interesting, we did see Elle Fanning in the trailer.
Yes, weird.
And at one point, it is clear that she is an android or something robotic about her.
She kind of does the whole eye roll thing that the android did in Alien Romulus.
Right. And that's the point I was going to make.
Okay.
That is the theory people are saying online is that, yes, the company, the weighing, what's the name of
Wayland
the
Yutani?
Yeah. That's an android from that alien universe now showing up here, which means all the Alien Predator films that they made that were just cash grab movies they made a couple decades ago actually they're all in the same universe. If that's true.
If true. And
why else would you have an android type of character in there?
I could not be more excited, maybe not for this movie, because this movie I'm maybe a little ambivalent about, but Dan Trachtenberg doing an Alien movie, I'd love to see it. Because the originality that he brought to Prey, I would like to see him bring something like that to an Alien film.
Yeah.
This film, it leaves me a little worried just because it's interesting you mentioned the whole Alien Predator, which I think I saw the very first one of that kind of spin-off thing, and then I never watched any of the other ones because as you stated, I kind of felt like it was a cash grab. It worries me. The trailer actually worries me a little bit because it's too homogenized and looks like it's just a bunch of action. But I do like Dan Trachtenberg, and so I like his first two films. So we'll see.
All right. Well, that is Predator Badlands coming out in November.
Okay.
And it's coming out in theaters. Okay. Last trailer we're going to share. This one, it's a longer trailer, but I think we kind of have to see a longer trailer on this to decide, or even to see is this going to be worth our time to watch.
Okay. The new Smurf movie.
This is an Apple TV Plus movie.
Okay.
Which I have been very derisive on. I have said my piece on how I feel like Apple TV movies just have not held water. Compared to like the TV shows, I think they do really good on the TV shows.
They've got the TV show thing down.
The movies, I just don't feel like they've quite gotten that down pat yet. But they're trying. God bless them. They're trying.
I mean, Napoleon, Killers of the Flower Moon.
Well, Killers of the Flower Moon, I don't consider an Apple TV Plus movie. I know it was released there. That's a Martin Scorsese movie that he just happened to find a good place to show it in Apple TV Plus.
Okay.
I'm talking about movies where it kind of feels like this is Apple TV saying, we're producing this movie. We have an idea. We want to see this movie happen.
Okay.
So this is a film. I don't know. I want to like this film. I hope this film is good, but I don't know. There's some elements of this that are questionable to me.
Okay. See, you're already tearing my expectations down.
Keep them down
really low, and I have no idea what we're going to talk about.
I love Indiana Jones films. I'll be the first to admit that Indiana Jones films have not been at their highest standard in the last 20 years. The couple of reboots they've tried to do, the Crystal Skull, I thought Dial of Destiny was fine. I thought it was pretty good, but Crystal Skull was not. And Dial of Destiny, even though it was good, was still not to the caliber of like the originals. Anyway, so other studios have tried over time to make that same formula work. You had the Mummy movies, which you remember that had a very Indiana Jones feel to it, kind of this swashbuckling epic type of thing.
Brandon Fraser, yeah.
Yeah, there were some other attempts, but in general, it's been a genre that I think a lot of studios have not jumped headfirst into because maybe the returns haven't been great. There was a film called Sahara. Do you remember that? Was Sahara with Matthew McConaughey?
Very vaguely.
Didn't do anything.
And I guess you could say in a way National Treasure was kind of like that.
Yeah, good point. National Treasure did have a lot of that to it as well. Same idea, an adventure, kind of somebody who's both studious on one side, but also kind of has to get action heavy on another. It's that same kind of vibe to it.
And in a sense, I guess the Dan Brown Da Vinci Code type thing, different, but like adventure, trying to figure out a puzzle.
A little bit dancing in there. Anyway, this is probably the most blatant attempt I've seen
but
of
it's
a
not
studio.
Indiana Jones.
No, it's not.
It's not Indiana
but
Jones.
it's the most blatant attempt of trying to recreate this magic.
It's Illinois Smith.
Right, yeah.
Okay.
So John Krasinski.
Oh.
Starring in this film. Okay.
I do like him.
Hold that thought. Natalie Portman is also his co-star.
Okay.
All right. So you have John Krasinski, Natalie Portman.
You have Jim and Queen Amidala.
Domhnall Gleeson is also in this film. Yeah. All told, great. Then we have the title of the film, Fountain of Youth. Let me spoil it for you what they're going to be searching for in this film. They're searching for the Fountain of Youth. Okay.
Okay. Yeah. On the nose hurts a little bit.
It does. It does. I really think the title is an unfortunate title. So, but let's watch the trailer and let's see.
Director?
I don't remember the director.
Okay.
I honestly, the fact that it's not listed in the blurb or anything is possibly a bit of a concern too.
Makes you think probably first time director.
It could be, which again, that's not, I'm not saying that's
it's not
a problem.
a bad thing. No,
it's just, let's see here. I'm looking to see. Oh no.
This doesn't sound good.
It's directed by Guy Ritchie. Okay.
Right. He did Sherlock Holmes. He did Snatch. He did lots of stuff. Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels to go way back.
He's done some.
Yeah.
He's had more misses of late than he's had hits.
Right.
Okay. Well, let's see then. Guy Ritchie.
Yep.
They're not playing it up very big in the promotional material from what I can tell, at least online. We'll see if it is in the trailer that he's the director. But anyway, let's watch the trailer for Fountain of Youth and see what we think.
Okay.
Watch out! Coming through!
Did you know your brother's linked to a string of high-profile art thefts?
That he did not mention.
Can you at least tell me where he is?
If I knew where he was, you'd be the first to know. He's put me in somewhat awkward position.
Luke! What are you doing?
It's like Dad said, the reward is in the journey.
Not when the journey ends in jail.
Oh, I'm not going to jail.
How do you know that?
Because I've done this. What? And it never ends in jail.
Sometimes it ends in jail.
Please.
So that was the official trailer, Chris, for Fountain of Youth on Apple TV Plus, streaming May 23rd. So we are within 3 weeks at the time of this recording of this film coming out. You had not heard about this.
No.
This is a all new experience for you to hear
in
about.
fairness, I hadn't heard about Mountainhead either.
Well, Mountainhead I can understand because it seemed like a much smaller film. This is a big film, like stars,
five continents, Alan.
Right, five continents. It's huge. But I
all shot on the volume.
We watched this trailer here in the studio together. I saw a lot of groaning and eye rolling on your end, so I think you are on the same path I am. Is that? Look, I want a movie like this to be good.
Sure.
I do. I really do want a movie like this to be good.
We don't go see movies to rip on them.
To hope
don't
it's
watch
bad.
No, we're always rooting for the film.
But I got to admit, the elements I'm seeing aren't giving me comfort yet. I hope it's good. But right now, it's like the title, I think, is on the nose. You brought up an obvious music cue that now I'm hearing it. Now I'm going to be angry about that for a while. At the end of the trailer,
yeah,
John Krasinski, I like him as an actor. Do I buy him so far in the trailer? I don't know. He's got a little bit to prove to me on that. Natalie Portman in the trailer just looks absolutely bored. Like, hey, this is a great paycheck movie, but I hope that's not the case.
But the dynamic of having her be a sister, not a love interest,
yeah, I think that's
on
good.
board with that, and bored and like bitter and like angry towards the brother, whatever.
As long as that's part of her character,
all that
good.
works for me. Yeah.
I mean, again, I don't know. We can't tell from a trailer how the action sequences are. I mean, they look pretty kinetic and crazy, but we'll see.
Which would be in keeping with Guy Ritchie films.
It would be, and that's a little bit of my concern. Is I'm afraid the Guy Ritchie of it is. I don't want this to be. It can't succeed if it's all about just making these big, crazy action sequences. Because that's not what these films need to be. The film needs to be about the adventure. It needs to be about the mystery. It needs to be about the exploration that has some great action along the way. Don't misplace the emphasis on this film. So we'll see. I don't know. Obviously I'll give it a shot because, I mean, why not? It's going to be out in a few weeks. It could very well be a good fun time at the movies. I hope it is. I really do. I'd love to be able to say, yes, this was great. You know, like Raiders of the Lost Ark, you know, granted they had the word Raiders instead of just calling it Lost Ark. I wish this film had something instead of just Fountain of Youth.
Right.
So, because then if you make a sequel, is the sequel just going to be the title of whatever it is you're looking
Holy
for?
Grail.
The Holy Grail. That's it. Yeah.
Yeah. It's...
We'll see.
Yeah, I think most importantly, does it not take itself too seriously? And I guess just the story. Yeah, it's because it looks to me like another movie that I think was an Apple original, which I still have not made it through. I've tried 2 or 3 more loads of laundry, and I might make it through it because I fold laundry while I've been watching it. Argyle. That's what this reminds me.
Oh, you haven't finished Argyle?
Not yet. Even though that was a James Bond type spy thing, but like lots of action sequences.
But that was very, very unique.
Right.
I'll go on record. Look, I kind of liked Argyle.
Okay.
But I'm saying it really quietly.
Sure.
Because I know I'm a huge minority on this.
Right.
People are railing on that film. Right. It's considered horrible by most people. I had a good time with it.
Well,
that was kind of
I've had a decent enough time with it, but I haven't finished it yet. So
you haven't got to the point where they start throwing all the crazy twists, though.
I don't think so.
Okay.
And my wife says she has watched it and she has recommended it to her. So she says there's an action scene that I'll know it when I see it. That is just like,
oh yeah,
crazy. And I'm like, well, I haven't gotten there yet. I mean, I've told her, I was like, is it this one where there's like a hallway thing? She's like, nope. Was it this one on the train? She's like, nope. And I'm like, okay. So I'm waiting for that scene.
Sam Rockwell makes Argyle work.
And I agreed. Okay. That he is what's keeping me engaged because Sam Rockwell is just...
No, he's great.
He's amazing. So.
But yes, there are some interesting twists ahead. Okay. We'll recap. You have to come back to the table. I want to hear if Argyle is going to be a future recommendation for you whenever you finish it.
Okay.
You got to be able to report back to the show.
Right.
All right. Anyway, back to Fountain of Youth.
Yes.
Fountain of Youth comes out May 23rd.
Okay.
We'll see. I hope it's good. I hope it's good.
Well, here's the thing. I do have, that's the advantage. Watched just enough of a trailer. I have enough hesitation that what I'm going to do is there's going to be so much coming out per our calendar that we've already referenced. That's a wait and see for me.
Yeah. Okay. Fair enough.
It's a wait and see. So if I hear people being like, oh, it's good. But if people are just outright slamming it, I'll be like, you know what? I may see it, but I'm not going to rush to see it. Yeah. So
fair enough. All right. So Chris, I'm done with trailers. We're done with trailers. We're at the end of the show. Last thing we like to do is Chris gives a recommendation of a film that he thinks we ought to check out. What do you have to share with us today, Chris? What's your recommendation of a film you think we ought to spend our time watching?
Well, this film is celebrating its 20th anniversary, and people are saying, well, what film's that? Well, you may not have heard of it. It's called Nanny McPhee. It came out in 2005. It was directed by Kirk Jones, which I don't know anything else Mr. Jones has directed. Not that I'm just not familiar with his work. But it stars and the screenplay was written by one Emma Thompson, who is the titular Nanny McPhee. It was based on a book that had been written I think in the 60s, but she decided to, adapt it for the screen, and they put this film out. It stars Emma Thompson, as I've already said. Colin Firth plays a widower, Cedric Brown. He hires Nanny McPhee to care for his 7 rambunctious children who have chased away all previous nannies. Taunted by Simon and his siblings, Nanny McPhee uses mystical powers to instill discipline. So you're saying, okay, this sounds a lot like Mary Poppins. Mm-hmm. And yeah, I'll grant you that. It does. However, this film works, I think, because it's odd. Mm-hmm. The character of Nanny McPhee, like you could say, I guess Mary Poppins is maybe a little odd sometimes, but she's still very proper.
Right.
And Nanny McPhee, the lead character, is just weird. It's just a weird character. I had this film when my kids watched this film a lot when they were younger, And I'd kind of totally forgotten about it. And when I was trying to think of a recommendation for today, I was thinking like, well, what's a kid's movie that, granted, this was based on a book, but it wasn't an existing franchise. When they put this out, everybody flocked to the theater because like, oh yeah, Nanny McPhee, I know that film or that character. And it just really worked. They released a sequel in 2010, which I never saw, but Emma Thompson was still involved with it. But I can attest to the original. Nanny McPhee, I found enjoyable. It's PG. I think it's a fun film. It's basically rentable a lot of places. I couldn't find it streaming anywhere, but it's rentable a lot of places. So Nanny McPhee.
Huh. So do you know, did this film, the book it's based on, does it predate Mary Poppins, or kind of where does this fall in the, to come up with this premise?
The woman who wrote it she wrote a lot of adult like detective novels and stuff. Christiana Brand, but I don't know if her books came first or Mary Poppins' books came first. Okay. Yeah, I don't know. I know the book Nanny McPhee I think came out sometime in the 60s. So I don't know.
Okay, well then, so
I think Mary Poppins predated it.
Yeah, it had to have, because Mary Poppins was based off of something, or was it Mary Poppins' original idea for Disney?
I think it was based off a book as well.
I think so too. So the book had to have been much earlier than the 60s when Mary Poppins came out.
Right.
So, okay.
Right. I'll say, like, I could see that being the case. Who knows? We'll have to get our intern on it. But Nanny McPhee in many ways is kind of a reaction, maybe.
Well, I was going to say, if it kind of was created as a, hey, Mary Poppins, that's a great little story, but what if the Mary Poppins character was really odd and it was more quirky and weird stuff happening and all that? So
so Mary Poppins the film came out in 1964. So that I'm thinking this might have been
a little bit of a reaction.
Because that's when the book came out for this. So I'm thinking the book that Mary Poppins came out based before. So interesting.
Great. So Nanny McPhee.
Yes.
Great. Interesting recommendation, Chris. But thank you for tying it in with the theme of the review of the show with The Legend of Ochi.
Yeah, kids movie.
Yeah, getting a couple more family-oriented options out there on the table for us. Because it's true, most of the films we review are not ones that really the whole family we would recommend watching. So
right.
It's nice that we can get a couple in there from time to time.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I think that wraps us up for today's show. We had our review of The Legend of Ochi. We watched trailers for Weapons. We watched a trailer for The Fountain of Youth. Watched a trailer for Predators, Badlands, and also a trailer for Mountainhead. Out of those, Mountainhead's the one I'm really excited about. That's going to be interesting, I think. And then Chris's recommendation of Nanny McPhee. All right, Chris, there was a lot for people to respond to, react to on this show. So how can they do so if they'd like to engage with us?
You can send an email to info@footcandle.org. You can leave us a voicemail via the contact page on the mesh.tv website. You can follow us, Facebook, Foot Candle Film Society, Instagram, Threads, Foot Candle Film, Blue Sky, and Twitter. We're just Foot Candle Film as well. We're also on Letterboxd, where we try to track what we're seeing and leave quick takes sometimes. Do us a favor, if you like the show, consider giving us a star rating, write a review, share with friends on whatever service you receive your favorite podcast on, because it'll help us reach new listeners, which we'd appreciate. Also, upcoming September 19th through the 28th is the 2025 Foot Candle Film Festival. If you're going to be in Western North Carolina during that time or want to travel there, come see us. It's going to be a good one. It'll be our 11th festival, so it should be a good one.
Absolutely. All right. Well, that'll wrap us up for today. Thanks, everybody, for listening. We'll talk to you next week here on Foot Candle Films.
See you in the ticket line.
Watch films in the company of like-minded people in the dark. Watch films in the underground. We won't let anyone know where you are. The films that don't make it to Carmike at the mall, or ones that were famous when Grandpa would watch films out of the reverence of the heritage of an art. Watch films through the courtesy of Foot Candle Film Society.
Special thanks to Carpal Tuller for the show theme music. For more about Carpal Tuller, visit www.carpaltuller.com. You've been listening to The Mesh, an online media network of shows and programs ranging from business to arts, sports to entertainment, music to community. All programs are available on the website as well as through iTunes and YouTube. Check us out online at themesh.tv. Discover other network shows and give us feedback on what you just heard.